You're tacky and I hate you.
Hello everybody, Tacky the Gamer here with a new Magic the Gathering deck tech. This one is a brew that I will be playing this week at my local source casual format. This is a black-red control strategy that really what it wants to do is just kind of deny you your resources to eventually just power over you with some big evasive threats. And it doesn't do this very quickly, but it's just, very basic control that can just deny you of stuff and get there with your big threats and continue to deny your opponents their stuff while still maintaining your board state. As you can see, 98.70 online and 280 on the paper side. Some of that, well, actually, most of that's kind of absorbed by Thoughtseizes, fetch lands, and kind of the lands like normal Magic. You can replace some of these with some cheaper ones. There are some enter the battlefield tapped fetch lands, so they're turn 2 fetches, but you can still get your the same effect without having to lose a life, but it just comes in tapped. On the other non-basic, you can just play another one. Temples are pretty okay, but let's just kind of get into the cards and kind of show you what I'm doing here. So for our hand disruption, we got 4 Thoughtseize, 3 Blightning. Thoughtseize, of course, is a card you probably all have seen. 1 mana, target player reveals their hand, choose a non-land card from it, they discard it, you lose 2 life. Just a 1 mana, rip apart your opponent's hand, get rid of something you can't immediately deal with, but you can maybe deal with later. Blightning, 1 a black and a red for a spell that says it deals 3 damage to target player, and the player discards 2 cards. So it's just your 3 mana way to get in some additional damage, push through. Maybe you can't get on the swing and you're just down there, or you just need to get the last couple cards out of their hand just so they can't do a whole lot to you. This is kind of the easiest way to rip apart your opponent's hand without just like old school mono black Thoughtseize duress and just rip. And you're like, well, I got absolutely nothing. This one, Lightning, sure they get to choose, but it also gives you the 3 damage, so it's kind of like a weird mind rot in a way, but a little better. For the targeted removal, we've got 4 Terminate, 2 Go for the throat. Terminate, of course, is red and a black. Destroy target creature, and it can't be regenerated. It just makes it nice, 2 mana, get something, and it can't, just has the boon of it can't be regenerated, which is really nice, super spicy. And then go for the throat, of course, is 1 in a black, destroy target non-artifact creature. It's just, again, it's another way just to get a creature and 1 for 1 in that aspect. We've got, for non-targeted sacrificial type removal that still just, gets a creature, we've got 2 Geth's Verdict, 1 Innocent Blood. I was thinking 3 Innocent Blood would be the right choice, but I don't think all the time that Innocent Blood is the right call. I do think in some instances it's the right call, especially early game. Like if you can get it, like if you're on the draw, turn 1 they play a creature and you have nothing else, Innocent Blood's great because they're doing, it's just a one-sided sweep and they get to get rid of their creature. Geth's Verdict, 2 black, target player sacrifices a creature and loses a life. I think a little better Innocent Blood for us. As a 2 of, it makes more sense that they still sacrifice a creature and lose a life. Maybe sometimes, you can get the extra point and that's going to be, how you get the game. And for our sweepers, main board we're playing 2 Crux of Fate, 2 Anger of the Gods, 1 Black Sun Zenith. But Haku, why are we not running Damnation? I'm broke, shut up. So Crux of Fate, of course, one of the new sweepers introduced here in the last few sets. 3 and 2 black, choose 1, destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all non-dragon creatures. We do have a minor synergy in the deck, we'll get to that in a minute. Anger of the Gods, of course, I'm sure y'all are familiar with 2, 1 in double red. It deals 3 damage to each creature. If a creature dealt damage to it would die this turn, exile it instead. Dealing with graveyard shenanigans, you're dealing with a lot of tokens. It's just really nice. Black Sun Zenith as a 1 of X and double black, put X -1/-1 counters on each creature. Sure, this affects you as well. However, in most cases, it's not going to matter because all of your threats should be bigger than your opponent's threats. And so putting a couple -1/-1 counters is still going to allow you to apply damage and still apply the board pressure that you need to win the game. For our draw, since black and red doesn't have a whole lot of good draw, I would say, or at least that doesn't kill you fast, we're playing 3 Phyrexian Arena and 3 Read the Bones. Phyrexian Arena, of course, 1 and double black. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life. And then Read the Bones, of course, it's played all over the place. 2 and a black, scry 2, draw 2, lose 2. They both just get you more cards and get you more advantage than your opponent. You just want to keep drawing into gas, whereas you would rather your opponent just draw into nothing or make whatever they're doing just seem invalid. And that's all this deck's about. For our threats, it's kind of our sweeper, not sweeper, but our finishers at the end. We've got Inferno Titan, Ember Swallower, Sire of Insanity. Inferno Titan, of course, is just a great card, in my opinion. 4 double red, you can pump it, it's got fire breathing. It's a 6/6, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures and or players. So you could potentially just be, hitting him and he bolts every turn. Or you can use it as removal. It's a 2 of. It's pretty all right. I did consider playing 1 in the sideboard just in case you needed to apply some extra damage, but I didn't go with that route. 2 Ember Swallower. This is probably one of my favorite creatures out of Theros, and I've always wanted to build a deck with it, but I've always felt that the monstrosity is super high costed. But I think the effect it's kind of worth it. I'm sure it's a lot of late game, but applying for 4/5, 4/5 for 4 is pretty good. Ahead of the curve, it'll block forever. And when it monstrous, it becomes a 7/8. So for 7 mana, you get to monstrosity 3, so it becomes a 7/8. And when it becomes monstrous, each player sacrifices 3 lands. Now, of course, you might be saying, well, Haku, why are you not playing Crucible Worlds? A, I'm broke. B, that would just be way too oppressive. You could just keep playing your fetches or keep playing your sacrifice lands, and it just, you would still maintain the constant pressure of your opponent, which is great. However, that's not, true kitchen table. It's kind of what I'm going for here. And a spicy 1 of Sire of Insanity. This was going to be another Ember Swallower. I decided on the Sire instead. It's just another way to attack your opponent's hand and make them think. Either they're going to remove that, either you're going to discard your hand and then they're going to remove it on your next turn and they're going to allow the trigger to go off for you. Or if they've got nothing, then they're going to try to play whatever they can possible, and then you can just follow up with a sweeper, because honestly, after it's done its job for your opponent, it's almost useless to you because it's not evasive. But if they have nothing, 6 damage, it adds up really fast. Now for our real finishers, this is like the absolute in-game, or you can start applying it early with one of them. Master the Feast. One of my favorite cards of all time. 1 and double black for a 5/5 enchantment demon with flying. It's got the downside of at the beginning of my upkeep, each opponent draws a card. And so I know, of course, your opponent is going to keep drawing cards, but honestly, you don't care. I played this card to great effect back when Theros Standard, moving into Born of the Gods and even up through Old Esper Control. When this was like a huge card in Standard, I was playing mono black after Desecration Demon was a thing, and this is right before Origins when Erebus Titan. I had put that in my mono black deck post Origins, but Master the Feast just applied constant pressure because it's 5 damage. So you're hitting on turn 4 for 5, and it's the greatest feeling ever to see your control opponent allow you to resolve that, get a couple cards. By that point, you've done 10 or 15 damage, or I was playing a bunch of just like when they attack, deal damage, and so there was no way to avoid the life loss, and it was just too fast for Control to handle. And even post board, there's a lot of games where I would just dominate with this card because 5 damage is brutal. And then we've got Malfagor, which is a card that kind of avoided my radar for the longest time. However, it does have synergy with Crux of Fate, and this is what I was talking about. So for 2 double black and double red, we get a 6/6 Demon Dragon with flying. When it comes into play, I discard my hand, and each opponent sacrifices a creature for each card discarded this way. Now, you could be saying, why aren't you playing some Madness cards? Why aren't you doing this, doing that? This is a way to attack your opponent's board and force them to go into an empty board state if you have a ton of cards in hand that can get to turn 6 and you've already read the bones, Phyrexian Arena's out, you've got a million cards and you're just cast, sack 5, discard your hand, sacrifice 5 creatures. Your opponent's got to reset. So it's kind of a huge drawback for you because maybe you have something in your hand that you really wanted to keep, but forcing, it kind of is the same thing for you. You discard your hand to empty the board, which is what you want to have your opponent have, so that your big threats can just swing in and get the job done. Going on to the lands, we've got 4 Bloodstained Mire and 4 Blood Crypts. Of course, Bloodstained Mire, Blood Crypt, fetch your lands. It's just the easiest way to get your colors. The other non-basics, we have 4 Temple of Malice, 4 Graven Cairns, 1 Gaia Reach Sanitarium. Temple of Malice, of course, just allows you to filter your deck. Graven Cairns allows you to filter your mana. And Gaia Reach Sanitarium, you don't want to see, maybe you don't want to see it all the time, but it's just another way to get some work advantage, get some card draw, since, like I said, there's, Black and Red doesn't have a million cards that do a lot of work. You have stuff like Dark Confidant and the like, but again, I'm poor. Even though Dark Confidant would probably be the right call. I'm playing 24 lands. And then for the rest of our basics, actually this is wrong, my fault. We're only playing 3 of each basic. And that's an oversight on my part, whatever. But yeah, we're only playing 3 of each basic. And on to the sideboard. Kind of a different format, which you guys are used to seeing on my other 2 videos. So we're playing Oblivion Stones, Pithing Needle, Ratchet Bomb. Oblivion Stone is kind of our answer to everything. Ratchet Bomb is the same deal. You can, Oblivion Stone is a way that if your opponent's going super fast, you can play it down, and then next turn, say you've already got 5 or whatever. Usually you see this in Tron builds, but it's just another board wipe. Sure, we end up paying, 8 mana for it, but maybe, you go 3, 4, you put you've got say a Master of the Feast. You can go 3, 4, make it the only thing that survives, and then blow up everything else on your opponent's upkeep or something, where they just have to pass, or they play something that's irrelevant at the time. Pithing Needle, just our concession to pesky permanents that we can't deal with, enchantments and the like. Ratchet Bomb, same kind of thing with Oblivion Stone, just another way to get rid of stuff that we can't deal with. It's nice against tokens because you can just play it and sack it and get rid of everything. Shatterstorm is a board wipe for artifacts, just hard cast, they're all buried. Engineered Plague against tribal strategies is real nice. You get neg 1, he comes into play, choose a creature type, and they all get neg 1 forever. Drown in Sorrow, another neg 2 wipe. It's really against tokens or fast strategies that rely on X and 1s, X and 2s to get you in some additional damage. Without having to crux everything away. You have 3 Duress against control, or against decks that just have a lot of things that you can't deal with. I think really the control matchups are where you want more of them. Since you're already playing the 4 Thoughtseize, you really just kind of want to have 7 to 10 discard effects to where you can get rid of their counter spells and their targeted removal against your threats. And then the 3rd, Anger of the Gods, and the 4th, Blighting, just as another way. Anger of the Gods, Anger of the Gods, Drown in Sorrow, Engineer Plague probably come in the same, tokens, and more decks that you just want the 3 and 2 damage, and you get in there real quick. and then the Blightning against control, or against more aggressive strategies that you just need to push the extra damage through and force them to get rid of some cards. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this deck tech. Leave a like, subscribe, thumbs up, give it a share. It really helps me out more than you realize, since we don't have a whole lot of subscribers, but we do have very few devoted watchers of my channel, which is sweet. But yeah, on another note, Anarchy Online has been taking over my life as of recently. It's a great game. If you get a chance, try it out. Also, No Man's Sky is probably going to be no life, and I'll probably have some videos at some point. The game is sweet. It really hones my bleeding heart for animals. And yeah, but yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and we will see you all later. Peace out.